Real estate is one of the simplest ways to build long-term wealth, and one of the easiest ways to get wrecked if you don't know what you're doing. So this show, it exists for one main reason: clarity. Me and Keith, we're talking deals, markets, financing, flips, all of it, but always through the lens of what's working, what isn't working, and why. I'm your host, Dayton Lindsey, and I promise you that this podcast is going to help you save time, money, and you from painful lessons. So, let's get into this. I am so happy to be doing this with you, man.
Yeah, man. Same here. Thank you, bro.
Perfect. Awesome. So, since you are the expert here, tell us a little bit about your expertise, your authority, where you come from, your journey.
Well, as you had stated, I've been in business since 2016, so nearly 10 years. I got started wholesaling when I was active duty in the Marine Station in Quantico, Virginia, a little bit south of Washington, D.C. Grew it to a multi-seven-figure flipping business, not just wholesaling, but also doing fix and flips, wholesales, wholetails, retails, rentals, wrapping with owner financing. I do novations, lease options. And now at this point, we've raised a little over $10 million that we just continue to recycle into our properties. And I've done deals across 34 states now. So most of the stuff that I do is virtually not in my own backyard. I live in Florida, and believe it or not, I haven't even done a deal in Florida. It's not an opportunity zone right now, getting wiped out by hurricanes, and our taxes. Hopefully our taxes are about to go away, but our insurance has more than tripled in some areas just in the last 3 years. So 34 states and counting. Ideally, one day I'll be able to say I've done a deal in all 50 states. But as of right now, I've taught over 1,000 people in real estate, and I have my own company, REI Automated, where we educate, where we provide operating systems and software, and we also provide support and coaching and community and mentorship to people. We've had more than 570 individuals come through REI Automated and successfully learn how to invest, how to build their own, successful real estate investing business.
Like, what's your success rate with that, if you don't mind me asking?
Depends on how you define success. If you define success as first deal, if you define success as 100,000, $250,000, $500,000, if you define success as being able to quit their W-2, right? So success in and of itself can be defined many different ways. Therefore, it's subjective, not objective.
All right.
So if we were to look at how many people have stuck around and continue paying me, we have a 91% retention rate. And so let me give you my magical theory of having a successful business. It's really easy. We have a client success manager on staff. And so CSM for short, client success manager. His job requirement is 6 words. It's number 1 is 3 words, and number 2 is 3 words. Total of 6 words. Get clients results and keep clients happy. So long as you get clients results, they're going to make money. And so long as you keep clients happy, they're going to stay with you. Now, if they're really happy, but you're not getting them results, they don't have money to pay you. But if they do have money to pay you because you're getting them results, but you're a jackwagon and they hate you, they're going to leave you. So you have to have both things. That's the magical secret. That's the success formula, if you will, in a business. Get clients results and keep them happy. We've been able to do that for 91% rolling for the last 5 years.
That is a awesome success percentage, I gotta say. Even just that's kind of a rare number in most industries too. Like, most people will claim they have a success rate of like 80% or higher, but like in the low 90s, upper 90s, that is a stellar percentage to have.
Yeah,
I will say
thanks,
that.
man.
Now, I have a few questions for you, so I'm going to want to roll like right into those if you're ready for them.
Let's get into it.
Perfect. They're super hard, promise.
Okay.
I've come prepared. So, you mentioned that you've done all sorts of deals, different like wholesale. What's your favorite property that what's essentially your bread and butter when it comes to properties?
Believe it or not, you don't know this, but I've actually changed my business strategy 3 times. So I'm on my 3rd time right now. The first 4 years in business, I was exclusively wholesaling properties. At the time, I'm active duty in the Marine Corps. I was stationed in 13 different countries during that time, and therefore I didn't really have the time or the mental capacity to raise the money to deal with contractors and the change orders and the renovations and blah 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 blah. No. Nobody has time to do that when you're overseas. So it was only wholesales. And I actually become the number one wholesaler in all of Oahu and all of Hawaii. Like as far as I know, have wholesaled more houses in the state of Hawaii, which is a chain of 8 islands, 7 islands technically.
Do you have the Guinness Book of World Records like plaque in the back, number one?
No, nobody cares about me enough to give me a plaque. But I still have a great relationship with a lot of buyers there. I think I have the largest buyers list in Hawaii. So if anybody has a deal in Hawaii, let me know. I can dispo it. That was the first 4 years. And then I got out of the Marines in 2020 and I got super greedy, frankly. I was like, dude, I've been giving up so much equity, so much profit, just taking these little $5, $10, $15,000 spreads, wholesaling. My largest wholesale to date is $65,000. And that was a small portion of the deal. The deal net profit was around 320,000. So 65 of that coming off the top was totally fair to take. And then obviously the flipper made the majority of the profit. Nonetheless, most of them was probably around like 15,000 was about my average assignment fee. And I'm like, man, I could literally triple overnight. I could triple the amount of profit that I'm making just by taking title to these things and flipping it. So for the next 4 years, I focused only on renovations. So wholesale is defined as like a really small, kind of, some people will say lipstick on a pig, like it's a smaller renovation, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, kind of 20,000 is like the upper limit of a wholesale. We're just kind of getting it nice and livable, decent condition, nothing super fancy. We're typically going to, like, for example, leave the cabinets and at most we'll resurface them and paint them. If there's like, think about wood floors. Well, we're not going to rip them up and put tile. We're just going to sand and refinish the existing wood floors, right? So it's kind of like,
so it's surface level then. Surface level.
Cosmetic stuff.
Okay, cosmetics. Okay.
So that's a wholesale. And then retail is like, hey, we're doing a Joanna Gaines to this house. We're blowing out walls. We're popping the top. We're adding on, master suite on the back. We're totally redoing. We're pulling off. We're pulling off the drywall. We're roughing in plumbing. We're changing the configuration of the kitchen because we blew out this wall. Open concept, right? We're really making these houses absolutely beautiful. That's retail. And so for the next 4 years, year 4 to 8, that's really all I did. And then from 8 to 10, all I've done is acquire assets. I now don't want to sell any assets. That's stupid to me in this phase of my life. And I'm not saying that that you should follow me. Anybody listening to this, you don't have to be rental focused or even retail focused or wholesale focused. It's going to depend on your time, your money, and your energy. Those are the 3 universal currencies of life. But it really depends on where you are, right? So in this season of my life, I want to acquire assets. I want to hold on to those assets. There's a universal law of making money, and it says buy low, sell high. Well, if we were to compare where we are right now in 2026 compared to 3 years ago, compared to 5 years ago, go back to 2023, go back to 2021. Are we higher or are we lower? Overall, we're lower, right? Days on market is extending. Interest rates are much higher than they were in 2021, where things were darn near free. So we've found things slow down quite a bit. And people now, there's even some areas where I'm starting to see people underwater in their houses where they owe more because they just bought it 3 years ago. They actually owe more than what the value of their house is. And I haven't seen a ton of short sales come out of this, but I think that it's about to start, man, if we keep on going where we are. Anyway, we're lower than where we were a couple years ago. Buy low, sell high. Now is not the time to be selling assets. Now is the time to be acquiring them, in my opinion.
And I like your philosophy on that, but I want to take that question and segue into one I had for you today. And that question was, what makes a good starter asset for someone beginning in real estate compared to, say, I don't know, because there's different types of strategies. Like, what would be a good starter asset for someone starting? Quick aside, if you're getting value out of this, make sure to hit the like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below with what you want Keith and me to cover next. It helps the channel out a lot, and it tells us what you want to learn about. Anyways, back to the video. Would that be something like a duplex or a single family home or, I don't know, a warehouse?
Well, here's what I would say. I would say barrier of entry needs to be low for somebody who is starting off. And so what do I mean by that? If a flip happens to come by and the numbers make sense and it's your first deal and it's $100,000 renovation, that's kind of a big bite to take off as your first deal, right? However, if the numbers truly make sense, like by no stretch of the imagination could you screw this up. Like if there was $150,000 of profit, and you know going into this, okay, it's going to be about $100,000 renovation. Really, it's going to be $80,000 renovation, but we're tacking on a 20% contingency, so it's $100,000 reno. You can't go from $100,000 reno to $250,000 reno, right? You couldn't evaporate the full net profit of $150,000. And then it comes down to, well, do you have time to learn the renovation? If yes, then do it. If not, then partner. Or if not partner, then wholesale it. If not wholesale it, then wholetail it, meaning just get it in livable condition by doing a $30,000 renovation. Do you have time to do, again, kind of going back to what I said before, time, money, and energy? Do you have the time to learn the skill set, to manage the contractors, to raise the money, to create a scope of work, to yada, yada, yada? Do you have the money, whether it's your own money or access to capital? And that could be somebody that borrowing money from somebody that you work with, from an aunt, from somebody at church, from a neighbor, from a coworker, it doesn't really matter, or borrowing from your 401k or something like this, right? If you can liquidate some assets that you have. Hard money lender as well. So that's the money. And then we have mental bandwidth, capacity, energy. Do I have the energy to do this? If things are going haywire in your life, let's say that you just had 2 kids, bad time. Let's say that you and your wife are on the rocks with your marriage, bad time. Let's say that you brought in your sick mother-in-law who has dementia and she's in her last years, bad time, right?
As
So
a
do you have
partner?
the mental capacity, the energy? What's that?
I said bring your grandmother on with dementia as a partner? That's a doesn't
So
seem like a
having
very good business strat.
no. Having the time, money, and the energy or the mental capacity to do these things. So there is no right answer. Like a lot of people, most people, frankly, would say, "Oh, do wholesaling because wholesaling is the easiest." Is it? Because there's now 13 states who have outlawed it, and now you have to figure out if you get a deal in those states, you have to figure out ways around it, like having an agent on your team or getting your own license or doing a novation. Well, now you're getting into a different exit strategy. If you're going to do a novation, effectively, it's the same thing. You're just sticking it on the MLS. However, now there's more paperwork. There's contracts. There's nuances to this. So I don't think that it's an exit strategy. There is no one size fits all exit strategy. I can't say wholesale. I can't say retail. I can't say novation. I can't say burr, and just rent it out. Because some people, barrier of entry is going to be too high. So what comes your way first? That's really that's what life is about, right? Like what comes your way, turning whatever the saying is, turning lemons into lemonade. Well, what is the highest and best use of this house? What's my insurance strategy? What's my exit strategy? We analyze deals every way to see what options we have. And then from the options that are available, now we ask ourselves, what's the highest and best use of the property? What's the highest and best use to me? And what's the highest and best use for the seller? Right? Because sometimes for our exit strategy to work, say for a wrap, well, it has to be sub to the seller's existing financing. And if that's not in alignment with their goals, we can't do that.
Hmm.
So it's kind of a marriage of those three parties: the seller, the buyer, and the property.
Okay. There was a lot said in that. Um, I want to take what you said there, and I want to ask because you said it was very dependent on the opportunity that came your way, and mostly low barrier to entry. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. With that being said, since it's so kind of opportunistic, what opportunities would you really realistically hope to get or look for in an opportunity? Like, for example, if you were wanting to get in and there's different opportunities that come in, say wholesale or burr, the different strategies, what would your ultimate end, like preferable end goal be with a burr strategy, a wholesale strategy, and a fix and flip?
There's going to be prerequisites for each of them. So, like for example, if I can't make $5,000 on a wholesale, I'm kind of not interested, frankly. Um, for uh, for a burr, if after I set aside 35% for all my contingencies, right, 10% for vacancy, 10% for repairs, 10% for the management, 5% for capex, that's 35% off of the gross rent that's collected. Then I pay down my debt service. I need to have at least $200 per month. If I don't cash flow $200 net after 35% of gross rent is taken away and debt service is taken care of, then I don't want the house. That's my minimum. For the other one that you said was wholesale. For a wholesale, I want to make at least $30,000. If I can't make $30,000, or I should say, 3x return on my money. For example, if I'm only putting $5,000 into the house, then I'm okay potentially. If this was like little league real estate, which I define as anything less than $100,000, let's say I was buying this for $30,000, and then I'm putting $5,000 into it, so I'm all in at 35. I'm okay making $15,000 on that property. That's 3 times more than what I put into the renovations. All right, fine. And it's kind of hard when you're in little league real estate to be making.
Mhm.
I don't want to even say larger spreads because $30,000 is not that large of a spread when it comes to wholetailing a house. But in perspective of what is the purchase price and the sales price of the house, that is a lot. That's representative of 50% potentially of your sales price. You could be selling that thing for 60 or 70 or $80,000. I mean, but I've had it happen. We've made super good, like $60,000 on a house that sold for 90,
Oh wow.
like 92 or $94,000. We made 60,000. 60. It was more than, I think it was $63,000 on a $92,000 sale. Why? Because we bought it right.
Mhm.
If you don't buy it right, then you're kind of screwed from the get go. That's the beginning.
Fair enough.
Did that fully answer your
Um,
question, or was that like a two-part question?
no, I think that fully answered my question. Real estate isn't magic, it's a skill. And the people who win long term are the ones that keep stacking the reps. That means learning, analyzing, staying patient, and making good decisions. If you want to keep building that skill with us, make sure to subscribe and send this to someone who needs to hear it, because I know you know someone that needs to. Anyways, that's all for today. Take care.